So normally when y'all ask us questions, you do it on the Patreon page and then we answer them, because that's what we do on Patreon. So for $1, you can get in on the action. Just go to Patreon and look up Squid and Bear. Or sometimes we put it down in the description. It's usually on the older videos you can find it. It takes me a few days to get the links into the descriptions. But somebody here on this YouTube platform asked the question, hey, what do I do? Active duty military, trying to prepare. How do I make this happen? What do I do? Well, just so happens, I know a guy who can relate to that. Here, hold this phone. Talk at people.
All right, so give you the up profile. My last 2.5 years before I retired was active duty. I wasn't in a deployed unit. I was stateside, but I did travel to different countries as part of that job. But after my deployment to Iraq, when I got back, that's when I began to start feeling compelled that I needed to start preparing for something. And so,
Whoa, what was that? Somebody trying to die?
Yep. And so I just started putting stuff away. I think the great thing about being in the military and prepping is if you're putting away a large amount of food and its other supplies, when you PCS, they're going to move that for you.
Oh, that's a good point.
When I retired, I had 35-gallon containers of food and other stuff that literally brought me to just under the max weight I could have for them to move me.
Cool.
But they moved it, I didn't. I didn't even have to carry it. So even if you're PCSing, station to station, get the government to move it for you. If you're going overseas, you can put stuff in a storage unit as part of that, your overseas assignment. Do that. So I think it's very doable to get, a very good stockpile of stuff without having to worry about, the next move you have to make. The logistics, personal logistics of, the, food and supplies. Now I carried my weapons with me. Obviously they don't ship them, but I wouldn't let them even if they did.
Right.
So I don't know, that's my take. I think you can use the military to your benefit to prep.
So I would add a couple of things. Number one, if you're near retirement or near separation, get a buddy's house, your mom's house, your Uncle Jim's house, whatever. Get an address, and you can have stuff drop shipped to that location or store your stuff there.
And no longer is it, this ended before I retired, but no longer is it that you only get from where you're at the miles to your next duty station.
Right.
Or your home of record, sorry. We're about to die in horrid accident on film for you.
No, not really.
But, so now it's anywhere.
Right.
They'll take it anywhere versus, I retired in San Antonio and my home of record was X. We're only going to bring it that far. You have to pay for the rest. They don't do that anymore. Unless they change it again, but I doubt they would. Because it's a stupid ass rule.
So, but also if you want to, payroll comes through and you're like, man, I'd really like to get me one of those sweet Mayflower chest rigs. Cool. Have it drop shipped to Uncle Jim's house off of Amazon or whatever. So, or a 50-pound sack of rice or pinto beans or, seed vaults or whatever, trauma kits.
Honeyville, man. Honeyville, 50-pound bags of, you name it, $4.99 shipping.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff.
Yeah. So just because you don't have a physical location to operate from doesn't mean you can't find somebody else's to use as a drop location.
Even if you're in a barracks, say, you're not even out in town, you're in a barracks, get a small storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
Put stuff in there until you do move out into town. There's always options. You just got to be creative. You can find a way.
The other thing I was going to say is maybe you do the Dave Ramsey thing where you get an envelope and this is my prepping money. And while you're deployed or whatever, right? if you're in a situation where you're not going to be able to spend your prepping money right now, put it in the envelope. And then when you get to where you can spend it, take it out of the envelope and spend it. Buy your rice, buy your beans, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, right? Get all your stuff.
Take advantage of the PX too.
Yeah, we were just talking about that on the ride back. We drove, what was that, Camp Mayberry?
Mayberry, yeah.
Not Mayberry. Mayberry's where all the normal people live. Camp Mayberry in Austin. We just drove by there and we're like, you know what? If the world ever ends and you need to go looting, maybe go loot that base. Not that you should. We're not.
I want to dive into that one deeper because I think I didn't really think about this before. But if there is really a scenario, true EMP or something, the bases are going to be empty. Those people are going to go back to their families.
Right.
If you got to go somewhere to get something, that would be I don't know.
Yeah.
I still got to chew on it, but there's something to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a thread to pull there. I would be careful. So I will issue this qualifier. I'm not advocating you loot anybody or anything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
But if there's an empty building that may or may not have been owned by the federal government at one point, and there's things in it that you may or may not be able to use, you may or may not do a cost analysis as to whether or not you should consider acting upon that target. That's all I'm saying. Shen Yun, Jan 327. What is a Shen Yun? I hate billboards.
I hate them.
So there was definitely something else I was going to say re this conversation. I don't remember what it was, but
the bottom line is you can do it.
Yeah.
Find a way.
I think a lot of it is, what is your idea of preparedness? What are you trying to prep for, and how do you go about doing that? When obviously, because here's the thing, right? We are all tied up with something else.
Yeah.
Not to belittle anybody who's active military, but I'm just as busy as you are, bro. Like, everybody's got something going on. I would say the difference is, I have a home address right now that I can go to more or less whenever I feel like it, whereas you do not. So working around that problem should be the prime issue, right? Address that situation, and then it is what it is. Your credit card works just like mine does,
Yep.
Anything else?
No. It's good.
That's good. All right. Bye.